Hello everyone and welcome to the Next Gen Planners Morning Commute. My name is Gabby and today I'm joined by Tom. Morning Tom, how's your weekend been?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. As always, it's a Monday, so for some reason I have an inordinate amount of energy compared to the rest of society on a Monday. I just don't know what happens to me. I think that Monday morning is like an electricity bolt for me. My weekend was not too bad, thank you very much. It seemed very productive, to be honest. I got lots done, lots of exercise. It was great, really. How about yours?
Yeah, it was good, thank you. What kind of exercise did you get done?
Lots of walking, obviously, standard with my social distance walk on a Saturday, but I do quite a lot in my garden as well. I do a lot of HIIT training, so I'm a bit psychopathic, I think, in that regard, and I just
Yeah, I
enjoy it.
think it.
What about you? What did you get up to?
I went for a 10-mile walk around Blenheim, but other than that, it went really quickly, but I don't think I did much, which is strange, but yeah. But it was
Pretty
nice.
normal for
It was
most
sunny.
weekends,
It
I
was
think.
sunny. Yeah, it was hot. Yeah, on Saturday, wasn't it? Really hot. But then the temperature just dropped yesterday, which was really weird.
Yeah, it was a bit pants in the end. Anyway, moving on from our weekends, because I'm sure we could talk about those for a long time, unfortunately, but that's not what everyone's here for. So next up, we have the news from New Model Advisor, and today it's brought to us by Will Robbins. Good morning, Will.
Good morning. Shall
How are
I
you?
do the news? I'm good, thank you. I don't know if we do niceties or I just go straight in there.
Well, you can do niceties if you want, but you've heard my niceties. Introduce your niceties. There you go.
No one wants to see my niceties. Anyway, yeah, cool. Thanks, Tom. I did a bit of HIIT training too. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I do exercise. I keep myself fit. I did go on a 10-mile walk. I'm going to raise a question mark about that 10-mile walk, but anyway, we'll talk about the new. Okay, we'll talk. We've got the new rules now. Okay, so maybe we'll let that slide. Talking of the new rules, obviously, as you might expect, that's gone down well. With the markets this morning, the FTSE is up. FTSE 100 was up this morning, 41 points or 0.7%, however you like to do it, purely on the back of the idea of easing lockdown. I mean, it depends how much this has changed people's sort of behaviour materially. I feel like it's very much a reflection of what people are already doing. But as you may have seen from yesterday, there's a lot of information out there now. From Wednesday, unlimited exercise will be allowed in England, or people will be allowed to meet with one member of another household, provided they stay 2 meters apart. And there's some stuff there about primary schools, nurseries, and some shops could partially open on 1st June, which I think will impact a lot of you. So there's a bit of detail there. And I think tomorrow there's a blueprint for business to be quote unquote COVID secure. That's going to be really worth looking at, this idea of what this sort of checklist or blueprint is going to be, so that businesses can get back to business, so to speak, or reopen. We've republished or sort of followed up on a story that was in the Sunday Times yesterday about British Steel. Similar to a story Jack Gilbert did a few about a year or so ago with a different advisor. It's basically the same story but a different set of people. So it's a business that had an IFA business that started up again, offering claims management services. This one's about the director of a business called Fiducia Wealth Solutions. I know there's a lot of fiducias out there. This one's Fiducia Wealth Solutions. I'll let you have a look at that yourself. There's a lot of detail in it, which I don't necessarily want to go through really quickly on air here. Yeah, it's called Former British Steel Advice Director now offering mis-selling advice. Is that the right thing to do? Have a read of the story. But as I say, it's a Sunday Times story. Something about the FCA here. So Andrew Bailey was the old the former director, the chief executive of the FCA. There's someone else has been lined up now to replace him. His name is Ashley Alder, who is from Hong Kong, is the chief executive of the Hong Kong regulator. It always strikes me as disappointing for people who work at the FCA that there isn't a pathway to be working at the FCA and then get the top job. They always come from somewhere else. I remember Tracy McDermott was a bit, when Martin Wheatley left. She became the interim CEO, and I think she was doing a really good job. And then she's kicked out for another guy, for Andrew Bailey, who arguably hasn't done a great job. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe is the system of appointing people externally the best one? I'm not sure. And that is it. Thanks very much.
Perfect. Thank you. Will, is there anything else that you're looking into today at all that's going to rock my socks off?
I can't possibly disclose that. An investigation into you, Tom, into financial planners and their daily exercise regimes. Yeah. No, I mean, we're working on. You might see that we haven't had an issue published this week because of the bank holiday. Things are tough for print right now, but we're going to be working on the next issue. I mean, I guess one of the things I'll be like to know is just how you're working, what you're hearing from small businesses that you're working with. This idea of having to ease lockdown. I mean, yeah, it'd be fascinating to hear anything you guys know of hearing about in terms of the people, your clients, especially those small business clients, and how you might be helping them as I guess as businesses and owners. Anything around that would be interested to hear about. But otherwise, getting our next issue together, which is going to have some more stuff from the CISI actually in it, and I think it was a couple of stories maybe this week from an interview I did with Jackie, which was almost as good as the one that was on Next Gen last week, but which I sort of heavily borrowed from, but a few extra bits in there as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Will. Moving the show on to just as weird and wonderful as usual, my favourite segment of the whole entire show, another tip from tight ass Tomo. Good morning, Tomo. How are you doing?
I'm all right. That weird and wonderful.
Yeah, weird and wonderful. They're usually obscure with your wacky one. I like your wacky one, and I usually follow it. So I've saved myself some money in lockdown.
Well, I've got some. I wouldn't say wacky. More people have been in touch and some experiences I've had over the weekend, and I've got a practical one which I think I might benefit from. So just watch this space. So the first one was I had a WhatsApp message from Ian House, who's also a member here at Next Gen, and it said, I've got a tight ass Tomo tip for you. So go on. It said, don't pay $4.49 to rent the gentleman. And I was like, you're renting the gentleman? I mean, who rents gentlemen? I mean, this is a bit, risque. And then I got swayed to, what on earth are you on about? It's the new Guy Ritchie film. I said, oh yeah, the one with Hugh Grant. He said, yeah, Hugh Grant is good, but it's terrible, not funny, not gory, not anything. That's my tip of the day. So just, if you haven't watched it, maybe there's a tip not to. But yeah, really confused to begin with. The other one was, some of you may have seen on the Slack channel, we can't go on holiday at the moment, which does mean we're saving money. So a good tip would be dust off that tent if you've got it, put it outside, have a little camping trip. Me and my son had a great time. He brought his little toy animals. They had a little trip. He had a little midnight snack at 7 o'clock. It was great. We had a good time. So there's another tip. Family holidays in the garden. Just mix it up a bit. But my practical one was centered around reminding myself that I needed to do our car insurance. And that reminded me of how I go about doing it. And I use, and some of you may be aware of this already, I use a website called topcashback.co.uk. And it's brilliant. You go in there. It has its own search engine. It does comparisons. And you can imagine, I compare what they find with what you can find on other sites. It's all comparable. And they give you a kickback. And then I went on my account and I had a look to see how much I'd actually earned. And I think over about a 4-year period, 440 quid. That's not insignificant. I've actually surprised myself. So yeah, I mean, I am tight, but that is good going. But what's great about this website is you can go on there, you can search things like utility bills, car insurance, holiday insurance, you name it. Even if you went and wanted to buy something online, you can find the relevant website and click through on that link and you might get 5 quid back. It's brilliant. But what's great at the moment is they're doing a refer a friend bonus. And what I'll probably do is send a link round that's referenced to me so you can all sign up and I get a bonus. So brilliant. So that's me.
That's great. Thank you, Tomo. I don't know about camping in my garden, but that's a brilliant tip, that. Moving on. Next we have our guest, Amir Rocha Lima. Good morning, Amir.
Good morning, Gabby. Thanks for having me.
You are a very active member in the financial planning community. Tell us a little bit about becoming a financial planner.
Okay, yeah. So as you said there, my name is Amir Rocha Lima. I'm a financial planner working pretty much exclusively with retirement planning nowadays at a firm called Holland, Hahn & Wills, based in Kingston upon Thames. But I started out not having a clue what investments were or what financial products were. And to be honest, Gabby, when I joined my first company in the financial services sector, I didn't even know financial planning existed as a profession. I just had no idea it even existed. So I fell into financial services as a sector, firstly, through a company called AXA and their sort of graduate scheme. And basically, I interviewed there and I got put on their IFA support line. So effectively troubleshooting, helping IFAs complete the forms for pension transfers and things like that all over the phone. So yeah, that's where it all started. And very quickly I saw that financial services in its many guises, be it financial planning, wealth management, etc., or even insurance for that matter, it offered a professional career track that sat alongside a professional technical qualification track. And in hindsight, I appreciate that many professions offer that. But I just, again, probably wasn't exposed to it at the time. So I loved it. I just loved that I could take more exams, learn more, and at the same time, potentially be promoted at work for doing so. So I just went gung-ho and started taking every single exam I could, wanted to learn everything about technical asset management, financial planning that I could. And one thing kept leading to another. And here I am today.
That's great. Thank you. So if you hadn't become a financial planner, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
I have no idea because I really like what I do. I really, really like what I do. And I like doing what I do. I like doing the financial planning part of the job. And as with financial planning, I also, like I said, I didn't know it existed. So I didn't know I could open this door until sort of I opened the door before it. But I will say this, for a podcast that I host, I interviewed a guy the other day who did a double major at uni, computer science with philosophy. And for one split second, I thought to myself, you know what, if I could go back, I probably would have done that double major. I think computer science and philosophy as a double major at uni would have been awesome. But so there we go. That's as close to what I would have done if it wasn't financial planning.
Okay, that's controversial. Computer and philosophy.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
great
I like that. You host and run the Inside Kingston podcast, which is now up to its 36th episode. Mm-hmm. Tell us about how this has benefited your business.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question, because I think I started the podcast out specifically to highlight local businesses, community leaders, senior professionals, and entrepreneurs in the Kingston upon Thames area. So it is solely about the guest. It's about them getting a chance to tell their story. That's what it's all about. And interestingly, now, as I said, we've published interview 36, but we're on to like 40 something recorded already. And what I find fascinating is how we've used now the services of other local professionals as a firm, because we've got to meet them through me interviewing them on the podcast. And I've also had different businesses at sort of like local chambers of commerce networking events say to me, oh, I really enjoyed your interview with so-and-so. And in fact, I gave them a call and blah, blah, blah. So that was the goal initially. It was really just to put a sort of light the fire underneath the Kingston upon Thames business community, really get different professions talking to each other, and us just basically hosting that conversation, or us being the conduit of that conversation in the business community. And it's playing out exactly as I envisaged in that sense, which means that, you know, when myself or another member of our firm goes to local networking meetings, the other day we all joined in a virtual pub quiz with the local Chamber of Commerce. We just knew a bunch of people that were there. It's just great to go places, even if virtually, and you just know a bunch of people that are there because you've spent an hour chatting to them about their life story. So it just makes for a second conversation or a third conversation about how potentially we could work together as financial planners and XYZ business. I think it makes that second conversation a lot easier.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You are a strong advocate of financial planning. At a time of international crisis, what place do you think financial planning has in society?
Well, you know, I think it's huge. It always has been huge. I think it's always been about financial planning. It took me way too long to figure that out. You know, I was a sort of a very techie financial advisor for a long time. Before that, I was heavily into asset management for too long. And I think right now is where every single financial planner out there is feeling like the job they do is just worth so much more than the price they charge for it. And more importantly, there's a lot of people who are just solely in that financial advice space, i.e. matching a product to a need, and then that's it, that's the end of the value chain. I think a lot of those folks are thinking, wow, if I could somehow enhance my service to offer financial planning and give people peace of mind, help them retire with dignity and independence, or help a young person get on the property ladder in a way that won't ruin them financially in the future, whatever your segment of the population is, I think everybody's seeing that financial planning is the driver of all this. The product, be they tax wrappers or investments, are just completely secondary to the planning conversation. And hopefully the population as a whole is seeing that having a financial plan in place doesn't do them any harm either. You know, I mean, the amount of people, it's just now very evident, unfortunately, that the amount of people without even a sort of a 3-month cash buffer to get through a period like this, they're really hurting, and that's not cool. So I don't think now is the time for us to be talking about, oh, you should have had a cash buffer. I mean, that's not cool. You're just kicking people in the teeth when they're down. So now just trying to rally people and sort of educate people through social networks and things like that. But the time will come where it is the right time to say, look, you've just gone through a situation and you realize now that when we say you need X amount of cash as a buffer before you go into retirement, I mean it. This is not now a suggestion. This is what I recommend you do. And I think, again, for different segments of the population, perhaps different rules of thumb will apply. But I think hopefully someone who's self-selecting to get financial planning advice is really going to take advice like that to heart now.
Great, thank you. You're going to be one of our speaker and the upcoming Next Gen Planners Conference. What are you most looking forward to about now, the week-long conference?
Yeah, well, super excited about it. I think it's going to be an unbelievable event. I think the Next Gen team have just, God knows how, pivoted the event to become there's this massive momentum behind the virtual conference and the week-long nature of it. I applaud you guys in the Next Gen sort of leadership community for being able to pivot like that, because I mean, I'm sure as soon as you saw that you couldn't do this in person anymore, it probably sort of took the wind off your sails a little bit. But to have pivoted the way you did and create this huge momentum behind the week-long virtual event, massive applause and hats off to you guys. And I'm just super honored to be a little part of it. And I just can't wait. I think it's going to be great. I think a lot of people are going to be talking about this in a really positive way, which hopefully, you know, as I always say, sort of little ripples all around the country, people talking about something just creates one big wave. And thankfully that Next Gen wave is all about financial planning and the power that this profession offers for both people looking to start a career in it, and also for people seeking some help in the financial planning space too.
Awesome, we look forward to seeing you there. Now, we always like to finish on this one question. What are you most looking forward to when lockdown is lifted?
Oh yeah, it's a good question. So I think this lockdown period has really skewed some of the priorities I had in place. I mean, my wife and I were talking about this the other day. Sort of the most important things for us, more than ever now is clear, are not things. So we're not wanting for things, because we've just realized that a lot of that was just superfluous. It was just us sort of massaging our own egos, so to speak. But you know, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, maybe I would have been in Menorca with my family, just enjoying a bit of the sun. And I guess it would be, you know, like an experience like that. I'll be looking forward to just taking my wife and kids to a nice hotel in the sun and just enjoying like a week-long vacation by the beach and by the pool.
Yes, I agree. Little things. I think it's brought into like how important the little things in life are. Thank you very much, Amir. Tom, what do we have up next?
That was fantastic. Thank you, Amir. Very much enjoyed your time, so thank you for that one as well. Next up, we've got Tech Focus, as per usual on a Monday morning, with Alistair and Josie. I'm hoping I pronounced it right. Don't kill me if I didn't, Josie.
Awesome.
Alistair, what do you have for us today? Oh no, Alistair? I don't know whether it
Look
just
at
froze
me
on my...
failing on the tech.
It could be you, Alistair.
It was me. I hadn't unmuted myself. Just a quick update on Jose's housing situation. He is still in the car. We are keeping a running tally, although he did tell us this morning. You were saying, Jose, that the restrictions are lifted, so they're letting you leave the car now, I hear.
Yes, this is not a Zoom background. This is actually my Honda. And yeah, I'm trying to get a signal here because obviously my kids are asleep and my office right now is my kid's bedroom. So yeah, but the car situation is awesome. It's a house on wheels, so what more can you ask for?
And did you say as well that the Portuguese government is starting to loosen restrictions somewhat there?
Yes. So on Monday, even on the weekend, you notice a lot of people on the streets anticipating what the government was announcing for Monday. And so now you can go to a lot of shops as long as you take a mask. You can go to the beach as long as you don't stay still, so you can't sunbathe, I guess. But yeah, it's much more relaxed now. And we weren't hit like Italy or like Spain, so that stress wasn't as bad here. And yeah, and the Portuguese people are very resourceful and very resilient. So yeah, I think it's going well over here.
Cool. Oh, well, that's really good to hear. And as we all know now in the UK, we need to both stay at home and not stay at home, go to work and not go to work, but only if we can. But if we can't, we should. So it's crystal clear for us here. Onto some text talk. I'm channeling a bit of the Titus Tomo this morning. Actually, I must have been feeling stingy when I woke up, and I thought what we should really be talking about is what I like to think of as being a tech audit. So in our business, we had our end of year accounts produced last week, and we were looking through the expenses as we do every year, and we were saying, trying to quantify where we thought we were spending the right amount of money, where we could be spending more, where we could be spending less, and so on. And it got me thinking about our approach to tech, because one thing about tech and one thing about me is that I think most people who are into tech, and Josie, you might echo this, suffer from a little bit of shiny thing syndrome. Is that a problem you found yourself having?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like fake Facebook pages that you keep on hitting like, and you get to a point where you have so much stuff that you didn't know where it came from. So it's a recurring issue for everyone nowadays because it's so easy to subscribe to softwares. The software as a service model, which is actually our business model too, is a subscription service. So it's really, companies make it really easy to sign up, and they try to make you forget that you're signed up. And Apple is notorious in that in the App Store, so be really careful about it. But yeah, there are a bunch of apps now, like Revolut, and an app called Do Not Pay. It launched in the UK last year, and they try to do an audit of everything that you might not be using. And this Do Not Pay, which I haven't tried yet, but it sounds really interesting. It's like a robo-lawyer that will even help you get on the phone to get to those companies who are more difficult to get a hold of. So yeah, they use voice calls and algorithms to try to get people on the other end on the line, go through all the maze to get to the right person. So yeah, I would strongly recommend that.
And that's that's a really interesting point. I think in California, there's actually a law has been passed there in the last year that says you have to be able to cancel a subscription the same way you signed up for it, and that would make our lives in the UK so much easier if they brought that in. So I was thinking about business software. You know, if I have a look through what we use in the office, last time I did this, it resulted in us moving from Slack for internal communications to Teams. And what I aim to do is ask myself 3 questions. So the first is this serving my needs, the business's needs? Question 1. Question 2, is it providing value for money to serve those needs? And then question 3, am I using all of its features? Two and 3 sort almost feel a bit opposite, but I think once you've established that you are getting value for money from something, I think it's really important then to dig in to what features are available you might not have otherwise thought of. And the big example for me was this: when we were looking at Office 365, which we'd paid for years, and I think everybody here probably is paying for Office 365, I realized that they bought 3 or 4 years ago a bit of software called Mile IQ, and that's an automatic mileage tracking app. It's brilliant. It's you just have it installed on your phone in the background. It tracks where you drive. It only tracks you when you're driving, and then it says, was this a business trip or not? And it learns as you go along. And it just means you never have to fill out blooming mileage forms. It's brilliant, and it's free as part of the software we're already paying for. So I think question 3 is a really useful a useful one to ask. And the value for money thing is interesting. I've noticed that different software providers have taken different approaches to the COVID-19 crisis. And I think Advice Fund have something to say about that as well, Josie?
Yeah, so we when this happened, it was earlier in Portugal actually, and we made a decision because we knew that this was going to happen also in the UK. We made a decision to offer our software for free to the entire planning and advice community. So all of our clients aren't paying right now, and new clients are not also not paying until the end of June. So this was a month and a half ago, I guess, or 2 months ago, that we decided to do this. We've been getting an amazing reception from the community. And we just did this because we thought it was the right thing to do. It wasn't a marketing gimmick or anything like that. It was just simply trying to, how can we be helpful in this time? And yeah, offering a solution that allows advisors and clients to collaborate online when you can't meet with clients, you can't send them paperwork, etc. I think it was a no-brainer for us, and we tried to remove all the friction from people using it. So if you want to use it during the COVID crisis, feel free to do it, and then just cancel and go back to your usual routines.
Yeah, I think that's a really refreshing approach, and not one I've seen many of the professional software providers take. So that's really helpful. Thank you. And one thing I've mentioned about these 2 questions is it's the same questions I try to ask myself when looking at a new piece of software. Just replace is with will. Will this serve my needs? Will it provide value for money? And will I use all of its features? So there we go. That's the Tight Ass Tomo tech tip of the day. And back over to Gabby and Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Alistair. Thank you, Jose. Really enjoyed that one, actually. And I didn't know about the mileage app. I think I better start using that, because it is a right pain in the what's it having to fill out the mileage form at the end of the month, and so save me some time. So thank you for that one. Gabby, what do we have on tomorrow's show?
So tomorrow we have an interview with Tight Ass Tomo himself, Tom Morris, and Chris Budd is back with Financial Wellbeing for the Day, and it's Tuesday, so we have Catherine Morgan's Coaching Focus.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Gabby. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. As I will always say on a Monday, have a great Monday. Smile. It's Monday. You're full of energy. So if you're not today, then you're never going to be. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great day and stay safe. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers, guys.